Alright, how you guys doing today? My name is Nia Abrahams, and I am the Dean of Faculty and Staff Relations at Stanford University. You guys are a very selective, very important group because you guys are new to the university as faculty. And the reason I called you guys in together and brought you guys in, one, for you guys to get to know each other so you guys can make connections because I know you guys are new to this whole Stanford experience. And the second thing I want to do is to tell you guys something special and unique about Stanford University. Something that we really value at the university is engagement in the classroom, and that's something that we feel is very important, that sets us apart not only as a top-notch school, but across the world as well. So today I'm going to talk to you guys about how to engage students in the classroom, and I also made the title from Miss Hazley from A Bad Teacher, the movie, if you've seen that, to Mr. Tolson from The Great Debaters. So if you guys would bear with me, we're going to go through this.
Anybody know who Willie Lynch was? Anybody? Raise your hand. He was a vicious slave owner in the West Indies. The slave masters in the colony of Virginia were having trouble controlling their slaves, so they sent for Mr. Lynch to teach them his methods. Keep the slave physically strong, but psychologically weak and dependent on the slave master. Keep the body, keep the mind. I and any other professor on this campus are here to help you to find, take back, and keep your righteous mind.
This is a famous clip from the movie The Great Debaters. And the reason I decided to use this clip is to kind of show how passion is played into this, and that's one of the things we're going to talk about. In The Great Debaters, this was a professor who was kind of known for his wild antics, but at the same time, you could tell that he engaged in that classroom setting. It wasn't a stereotypical classroom setting, but he engaged with the students, and that's how they were able to succeed. So before we begin, just going to give you guys a preview of the points we're going to talk about today. The first point is dress for success, foster classroom discussion, understanding their culture, humor, not sex, sells, and have passion. So to begin, we're going to talk about how to dress for success. Here at Stanford University, we fully believe that first impressions are extremely key to unlocking the potential in the future of your students in the classroom. And so one of the things that we like to do, as we like to call it, dress in the middle. We don't want someone to come in as a university professor on the first day of class, come in with a full suit, completely overdone, because that kind of makes a gap between the students and the teacher, because the teacher kind of looks standoffish. But at the same time, we don't want you to come in and, just like, khaki shorts, different things like that. So we like to call it dress in the middle. Something like I'm wearing right now, you see I have a slacks, a nice tie, but at the same time I'm not wearing a suit top, I'm wearing a pullover. So not only is it comfortable for me, it's also comfortable for the students to see that as well. And that allows for a better flow environment. The next thing we're going to talk about is how to be open for class discussion and class flow. And we at Stanford fully believe that this is the single most important thing that you can do in a classroom. A lot of the lifelong lessons that students learn and a lot of the academia that they understand and keep with them come from classroom discussion. And so here are some key points to help you guys flow and further in that. The first thing is set clear expectations for participating. It's super important that you want to keep an orderly classroom. You don't want a lot of craziness to happen. So at the beginning of the semester, whether it be doing a lecture or doing a syllabus, set those expectations for how you want your classroom style to be developed. Break the ice with informal classroom talk. That's huge. If you see a student outside, say hello, ask them how their day is. That connects them to you. So not only when you're presenting and you don't necessarily have anything to talk about, you've already established a personal relationship with them, and that allows you to feel more comfortable. With your students. Avoid only open-ended questions. Call specific students. This forces students to participate. If I specifically call on individuals, it allows the students to say, oh crap, he's going to pay attention to me, or he's going to call on me, I have to focus. So that keeps classroom attention. And finally, don't be afraid to deviate from the topic. A lot of awesome discussion happens when students and faculty deviate from the specific outline topic. Don't be afraid to branch out. Don't be afraid to go out of your comfort zone and talk about things, whether that be politics, things in the media, stuff that were discussed, whether simple things as the Trayvon case, for instance, that's huge right now in the media. Talk about that at the beginning of the class. A lot of awesome discussion comes from that. The next thing is understand their culture. Times have completely changed. Before, as you guys have, gone through your PhD, you can tell that things are completely different than when you went through school than when the students are going through school now. So you have to understand, you have to meet them where they are. The same techniques that you use or the same techniques that were used on you may not work by today's standards. So one of the big things that we like to do is incorporate things like Facebook and Twitter into your classroom agenda. Social media is huge in students' lives right now, and we encourage you guys to utilize that, whether that be opening your own Twitter account or having different things like that. Also, kind of set an agenda for a global-minded community. We're now in a global market, whether that be communication, whether that be currency, all that different things. So we want to make sure that students understand and expect that when they leave Stanford University, that they are globally in place to do some great things. And as and all that kind of says is the more relevant you are, the more students will relate to you. The next thing, humor, not sex sells. One of the best things, one of the things that they say in the business world is sex sells. And while that may be true, at Stanford, you'll probably get fired. So it's important that you guys not use sex, but use humor. Studies have shown that people and students retain more when there's humor involved. Whether that be an example, they're studying for a test they can't remember, then they remember that humor story that you told about your life, or whatever situation that may be. They'll remember that. So it's important to use humor, and don't just be that dry eyes guy, for the Bueller guy. Liven the classroom up a little bit. And also, teachers are considered more appealing. And when teachers are considered more appealing, you really want to step out into that. The final thing is have passion. Passion takes a mediocre lesson to an exceptional one. It takes something that that anybody can pick up and write to something that's extremely indulgent to you and the students. And when you allow that to happen, the students pick up on that. They see if you really care about what you're talking about. And if you really care about it, then they're more apt to listening and being engaged. So finally, just as a summary of what we've talked about today, first thing, dress for success, be open for classroom discussion, understand their culture, humor sells, and to have passion in everything that you do in the classroom. Any questions? Yes.
So you were talking about being able to deviate away from your lesson and such. How do you realize that you need to deviate to kind of go?
Yeah. One of the things that we like to say is kind of get some subtle cues. There are times when a student will bring something up and another student will add on to that. And if it's something relevant and it's something that, hey, that actually might be a good lesson point that you can kind of tie into whatever class that may be, whether it be religious studies, sociology, anthropology, go ahead and bring that in. And as long as you're able to tie that back into kind of the generalness of whatever class you're taking, go ahead and do that. You'll get those kind of cues, and when students begin to speak up and begin to ask those questions, and you just take those cues and kind of run with it. Another thing that wasn't really mentioned in this particular point, but I still think is a very valid point to make in terms of engaging the classroom, is use different styles. There are a lot of different venues and avenues of teaching that are extremely important, whether that be auditory, whether that be a strictly seminar style, whether that be bringing in objects and hands-on kind of activities. Studies have shown that it takes more than just one way of learning and one way of studying to really get a student to fully understand and to fully learn. So we encourage you guys to use more than just one way. What way may work well for you, what may be comfortable for you, may not be comfortable for your students. In the end, it's about your students learning. Yes.
Sorry, I wasn't paying attention. Under understanding their culture, do you have any tips on how we can find out about their culture? How do you go about doing that?
And that kind of goes back into the kind of discussion when I talked about being able to talk like small talk, but kind of engaging the students. A lot of times you'll see a lot of professors just kind of do their thing and then leave. What I like to do is I like to hang around the students, whether that be eating in the student union, different things like that, just kind of pick up on what's going on. I have 2 kids. That's kind of weird. I said that. But they're not young enough, or they're 13, 14 years old. So I kind of listen to what they're going and listen to what they're talking about, what their friends are talking about as well.
Also, on the culture aspect, do you mean to kind of connect with the culture of young people, or do you mean connect with the culture of where their background is, or like this and that, or,
Well, I
or
was
both?
specifically, well, both would be great, but specifically for this, I was talking about their culture as in like what they're dealing with right now. Because a lot of the things that that we have dealt with, while we're going through our undergrad and stuff like that, are not the same. A big example is Jersey Shore. For whatever instance that is, everybody